Right, I'm just spot welding in the B pillar onto the new sills, measuring of course, getting everything right, making sure the B pillar is in the right left and right. It hasn't got much leeway or wriggle room, but it did have a bit. So I put the doors back on and measured the gaps, and it was like 85 centimeters from there to there. Checked it on the other side, that's fine. Down here, after welding it back on, I banged these back down. This is in a right state, and also I forgot to prime underneath here. So what I'm going to do, it's in a bad state and it's rusty up to there. So I'm gonna cut out all this. It's just too far gone, isn't it? And I'm gonna have to try and fabricate a replacement all the way around the section, and then at least I know then it'll be a piece that's been treated with rust care, primer, etc. Actually, I haven't done that side. Where are you? That ain't too bad in there. On the other side, under there is primed, but I can't remember whether I did. I probably didn't do these, so I think I'll just make fresh metal piece there. Aye, that's too rotten. Had to be done. I can get in there now from the other side and give it a few more coats. It's good metal in there. It's good metal from there up. And this bits here, which that's all good down here, but it's probably easiest just to take the whole lot off. That's all good after that. I'll probably end up cutting these because it's going to be, I'm guessing, too difficult to bend them in the correct shape. We'll give it a go, but I'm almost resigned to the fact that I'd rather do it when the piece is on than off, because you'll get a more accurate cut. And yeah, anyway, that's the way I'm doing it. We'll give this a go, and plan B will be to cut them. Be easier, and then you can kind of grind it, sand it to the right shape anyway then. We're about to hammer here to get the bend. It does come over this ridge here, otherwise it was flapping out and it was hard to press. Even the G-clamp didn't work, so I just got a hammer, tapped it gently with this, very gently, but for a long time. And it's conformed within reason. We can press it now. We can press it while we plug weld it. I think it'll be okay. And I've got a little contour there, which is what we wanted. We've got 3 on so far. First 2 went overboard on and migged for far too long. On the third one, that's more like it. And I'm also, with my other hand, I'm pressing the metal in because it's still got a tiny flare on it, so you can just see it moving there. So I've got nowhere to clamp on this, so I'm having to multitask with my hands, one-handed MIG welding, but it's okay, I'm getting there just. Also, I watched a video this morning about plug welding with weld-through primer on the back, and the guy did an experiment with weld-through primer as it is, or with it scribed off into back to bare metal in the weld area. Various places recommend one technique and others recommend the other. There's not a huge amount of difference, you'd be glad to know, in case you have not scribed it off before, but there is slightly less burn back, whatever the correct term is behind this, slightly less burn back when you scribe to clean metal. You don't have to get it perfect, you just need to scrape enough off to get an arc. And out of, you know, he tried all sorts of other things as well. He tried welding on the factory black, or the replacement part black paint. He tried it with etch primer, and he tried it with bare steel and sort of rather untreated steel where there's possibly contamination with rust and whatnot. But the scribed weld through primer technique was the best. So that's what I'm doing. Right, I'm making this up as I go along, but when I folded this over, it was folding underneath this part right on the edge. So what I've done is I've welded, I got it back up, I pressed it down as when both pieces were level with each other, and put a piece of MIG in there. And I've also, because it doesn't quite follow the contour of this line anyway, I put some extra MIGs on, so when I come to ground it off, I can follow this shape as best I can. We might have to put a bit more in, and we'll try and get this shape as it kind of peters out about there. And I'm just gently tapping away, and we'll do again, we'll MIG again. Like I say, this is just a technique I just made up on the spot, and then we need to cut behind there with a Dremel to get it to fit. Yeah, well, that's how I'm doing it. And again, this is going to have to curve down. I think I'm not quite on the flat section there, so this is going to have to be shaped as well. We'll get to that bit in a minute. I guess I'm going to MIG up this, and then we can tap it down with various hammers to get it to meet the sill. Right, my next weld went on successfully, and before I go any further, I'm gonna Dremel the shape here now, because I'm starting to get inhibited by it, and it's going to be harder to Dremel that if I go any further up with the MIGs. So let's do that now, and then we can start tapping. Once I've MIG'd up a bit more there, we can start tapping the shape down. I'm only about 1 millimetre off the base level compared to probably 2 mil up here, so we're only losing 1 mil. It should be fairly easy to tap down and MIG up. State of this place when you're working. We've been working on the scuttle over there, so there's remnants of tools there. Bit of work in the engine bay, cutting out the rot on the cross member. Yeah, started putting some filler on there, that needs sanding off. A few things going on, a few little jobs, but for now it's this one. And as you can see, we're coming in this way a little bit too much, so it's time to get the Dremel out and shape it. And we're a bit off as well. We ain't got enough metal there. That's my fault, but I think I'll figure something out there. We may have to bring another piece on there, unfortunately, but there we go. That's fine. I'm halfway through welding a little slither piece on there, like I said. It's not going to wrap around, so I'm going to have to blend it in down the bottom as well. Probably can do that with MIG, maybe. There'll be a nice straight edge there. Just got to make sure I get it MIG correctly now. There's some magnets because it's still not quite level with itself across there. Right, so I've done my little piece. I'm quite happy with that. And now we can press this down and weld it up. So we haven't MIG'd, because I did that off the sill, I haven't MIG'd the B post to the, which, you know, I guess technically wouldn't be the problem, but I'd like to do it the proper way with the proper plugs. Grind all this back and then put the plugs in. But first let's get it properly matched to the B post, and then file it down, then a bit of tapping then to get the curve. We want to keep this part where it is, and we want this part to come down 1 millimetre or so. It should do it, shouldn't be a problem. If it is, I think we'll just press, once this is made in, we'll just press this down whilst plug welding, and that'll do the same job. Well, I'm quite happy with this so far. I've been grinding away. I used the flap disc first to get the biggest blobs of metal off, and then I'm on the crock sander now with a fairly well, 80 grit, and it's worn down now, so it's not very powerful at all, which I quite like. It takes a bit longer, but you get, you know, it's not scary then. You're not going to take a big chunk out if you make a mistake. It's just brushing it slowly, and there we go. Got this bit left to do, and we'll do some finishing pictures. I haven't done this yet tonight. It's been quite a long job, so I concentrate on this side, and we'll have to do that tomorrow, that bit, folding it over. Now I know what I'm doing. I think this one's, we've got enough metal on this one just about to be correct. And my mistake on this, where I cut the new piece a little bit shy, so we had to weld in the new edge. There we go, finished. Apart from, there's a little blip there, it's just annoying me. I don't know how that's happened. It was nice and straight earlier, but it's now something, a bit of weld, I think, when I was welding here, has dropped there. And I can't get anything in there, any blade to cut it. And until I found, at a light bulb moment, I had an old Dremel blade that was ready for the bin because it had run out. But there's a tiny shred of disc left on it, and that'll just about get in that groove. I'll be able to chop that down, file it back with the top of it, being very gentle. So I'll try that now. Then we'll put a coat of primer on it, and we'll leave it at that for tonight. And then tomorrow we'll do the other side. Right, that didn't quite work out, so I stopped before I made it worse. But I think with a little hand file I can do that. I got a little hand file. I don't think it's anything major. Right, that maybe needs to be hammered down a little bit. That needs tidying up a bit, but all in all, with the filler now, there's a couple of bumps I haven't filed there. Yeah, a little bump there. Let's get that now while we're on it. Where was it? There. Better. Another one there. There we go. There's a couple of little weld. Very gentle on the crock. Right, there we go. Let's get some filler on, some primer on there now. Not too bad, eh? So there's the lower B post replacement section, almost finished. I'm gonna call it a night tonight, but I'm quite happy with that. It didn't take as long as I thought. Sunday afternoon, maybe 3 hours in total.